तिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनीति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौ भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, we welcome everyone for our morning reading and discussion from Bhagavad Gita. Mostly this would be the last discussion on this series of discussions from Bhagavad Gita. We are on the 18th chapter and we're going to start reading from verse number 70. So what's going on here is about Bhagavad Gita has kind of ended. Lord Shri Krishna has concluded in the verse number 66, if you see from that perspective. What are the concluding instructions? Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. After saying that, Arjuna had a doubt, or not a doubt, Arjuna had a question in his mind. Okay, mighty Lord, you have given this profound wisdom to me. Can I share with others? Can I tell somebody else? So Lord said, text number 67, Idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachan na cha shushrushyave vachyam na cha mamyo abhishoyati. Well, who's eligible or who's not eligible? This confidential may never be explained to those who are not austere, not devoted, not engaged in devotional service, and also not to one who is envious of Krishna or envious of me. So whom should be shared, or whom should this wisdom be given or discussed with? Text number 68, with devotees. Ya idam paramam guhyam madbhakteshu abhidhasyati bhakte mai param kretva mame vishyati asamshaya. So devotees, and not only this, Lord Shri Krishna says, this is the verse talks about Ya idam paramam guhyam madbhakteshu abhidhasyati. So ye jo confidential knowledge hai, one who gives to my devotees, Bhakti mai param kritva mame veshyati asamshaya. Nishyati roop se, he attains devotional service himself when he comes back to me. And then text number 69, Krishna says, there is no one as dear to me among all the devotees who goes out for book distribution. Oh, well, all the boys went out yesterday for book distribution. Hi, all. I'm not saying, Krishna is saying. Take a look at text number 69. Na chatasman manusyeshu kashin me priyakratamaha bhavita na chame tasmad anniha priyataro bhuvi. So, there is no servant in this world, all the boys, teenagers together. There is no servant in this world. अरे आगे नहीं पढ़ो, रिपीट करो. मैं fill in the blanks थोड़ा करवा रहा हूँ. जोर से बोलो. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he. Nor will there ever be one more dear. So you are the most dear. All of you went for book distribution. So we had how many? What's a book distribution score, Ashok Prabhu? Give me some rough estimation. Around 70 books were distributed by the teenagers and the youths. Haribo! So every day, all right? Well, we'll do it on weekends actually. Every day will be difficult. Okay, text number 70. Now we begin our discussion today. Adhyeshyate chaya imam dharmayam samvadam avvayo jnana yagnena tenaham ishtashamiti me matihi. And I declare that he who studies the sacred conversation hours worship me by his intelligence. So this is for all those who have been attending this A Yogi program all this while. Now Krishna is talking about you. Just like we go on the altar and worship the deity, so now we are worshipping the Krishna by our intelligence when we read Bhagavad Gita or study Bhagavad Gita every day. Text number 71. So that was about Pravakta, who studied this conversation like that, or who teaches others. Text number 61. 71. What about those who listens to it? Shrotta. Shraddhavan suyasya shrunyadapi yo naraha soapi mukta subhaloka prapnuyat punya karmanam. In our this whole Be Yogi program, everyone was Shrotta, everyone was speaker, because all of us were reading together and hearing together. So what happens? To the Shrotta, one who listens with faith, without envy. Shraddhavan anasuyascha becomes free from sinful reactions. Muktaha shubhalokan, and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwells. Very, very beautiful purport. Anyone would like to read? Can raise their hands. Ravi Prabhu, go ahead. Read the purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Purport, in the 67th verse of this chapter, the Lord explicitly forbade the Gitas being spoken to those who are envious of the Lord. In other words, Bhagavad Gita is for the devotees only. But it so happens that sometimes a devotee of the Lord will hold open class. And in that class, not all the students are expected to be devotees. Why do such persons hold open class? It is explained here that although not everyone is a devotee, still there are many men who are not envious of Krishna. They have faith in him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If such persons hear from a bona fide devotee about the Lord, the result is that they become at once free from all sinful reactions, and after that attain to the planetary system where all righteous persons are situated. Therefore, simply by hearing Bhagavad Gita, even a person who does not try to be a pure devotee attains the result of righteous activities. Thus, a pure devotee of the Lord gives everyone a chance to become free from all sinful reactions and to become a devotee of the Lord. Generally, those who are free from sinful reactions, those who are righteous, very easily take to Krishna consciousness. The word Punya Karmanam is very significant here. This refers to the performance of great sacrifices like the Ashwamedh Yajna, mentioned in the Vedic literature. Those who are righteous in performing devotional service but who are not pure can attain the planetary system of the pole star or Dhruva Lok, where Dhruva Maharaj is presiding. He is a great devotee of the Lord and he has a special planet which is called the pole star.
Hare Krishna. Very, very important purport. My Prabhupada is talking about why devotees hold public program, because in one of the verses Krishna said the message of Bhagavad Gita can be shared only with devotees. So it so happens that sometimes the devotee of the Lord will hold open class, and that class, not all the students are expected devotees. Why do such persons hold open class? It is explained here that although not everyone is devotee, still there are many men who are not envious of Krishna. They have faith like that. Okay, now text number 72. So now you see that it's just concluding now. Krishna is speaking about speakers, listeners, like that. It's just there's definitely not going to be any other subject matter. And not that suddenly somebody, one of them goes into ecstasy. Let's take a look at text number 72, where Krishna asked Arjuna, Arjuna, have you heard me attentively? Kashyadetat shrutam partha tvai chetasa kashya jnana sammoha paranataste dhananjaya. O son of Pratha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and illusion now dispelled? Hare Krishna. Every teacher is concerned. बच्चे सो तो नहीं रहे, मतलब आप सो नहीं रहे हो, मतलब मैं बता रहा हूँ ये परंपरा में आया, भगवान को भी चिंता है, अर्जुन तो सो तो नहीं गया ना कहीं प्रवचन सुनते सुनते. Have you heard with attentive mind? Purport, Mother Yagya, continue. Yes.
Yeah. Purport. The Lord was acting as the spiritual master of Arjuna. Therefore, it was his duty to inquire from Arjuna whether he understood the whole Bhagavad Gita in its proper perspective. If not, the Lord was ready to re-explain any point or the whole Bhagavad Gita if so required. Actually, anyone who hears Bhagavad Gita from a bona fide spiritual master like Krishna or his representative will find that all his ignorance is dispelled. Bhagavad Gita is not an ordinary book written by a poet or fiction writer. It is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Any person fortunate enough to hear these teachings from Krishna or from his bona fide spiritual representative is sure to become a liberated person and end the darkness.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry, I can't see the screen, Prabhuji. Yes, thank you. And get out of the darkness of ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Text number 73. So what does Arjuna replies now to Krishna's question? Ki tum jaag rahe the ya nahi? Well, Arjuna was, what do you think? Was he awake or did he slept off? What is the evidence he was awake? अबे बच्चों से पूछ रहा हूँ मैं, वो तो तुम्हें पता ही है, तुम्हारे उत्साह की हम दाद देते हैं. But I just wanted to check with the teenagers here. So yes, correct. How was he awake? What was the evidence? Because he was asking questions. Now, why asking questions is an indication that he was awake? Teenagers. Yes, Manshur. He won't be able to ask such questions he wasn't awake. Such questions means? I mean, you don't have to give an example of a question. You mean to say he wouldn't be able to ask related questions? Yeah. So if in case you have given a session and then at the end of the session people raise their hand for a question and they suddenly begin to ask some random thing. So समझ जाओ सो के उठाए अभी. And then you have to remind him, Baba, you ask a question relevant to the session. Did you heard the session or not? So we find this kind of things a lot. So here Arjuna was extremely attentive, just like Parikshit Maharaj was extremely attentive and Sukadeva Goswami was speaking to him because their questions were so pertinent, so thoughtful like that. Correct. Okay, so Arjuna says, Nashtamoha smriti love. This is an important verse. We need to remember, learn this actually. Everyone, repeat after me, maybe. Nashtamoha smriti labdha. Tvat prasadan mayachyuta. Sthito asmi gata sandeha. Karshye vachanam tava. Nashtamoha smriti labdha. Tvat prasadan mayachyuta. Sthito asmi gata sandeha. Karshye vachanam tava. Nashtamoha smriti labdha. Tvat prasadan mayachyuta. Sthito asmi gata sandeha. Karshye vachanam tava. Nashtamoha smriti labdha. Labdha means प्राप्त. तो आपके वचनों के द्वारा करिष्ये वचनम तवा, नष्टमोह त्वत् प्रसादान मैं अच्युता स्थितो अस्मि गता संदेह. गता संदेह, संदेह मीन्स डाउट्स. गता संदेह, सारे डाउट्स चले गए हैं. स्थितो अस्मि, और मैं फिर फिक्स्ड हो गया हूं अपने ड्यूटी में. बिकॉज होल डिस्कशन अबाउट व्हाट शुड आई डू. सो हे प्रभु, आपके वचनों को सुनने के बाद नष्टमोहा, मेरी अज्ञानता का नाश हुआ है. स्मृति लब्धा, आई हैव रिगेन्ड माय मेमोरी और इंटेलिजेंस, यू कैन से दैट वे. त्वत्प्रसादान मैं अच्युता, और ये सब आपकी कृपा के कारण हुआ है. मया अच्युता, by you, O infallible one. Sthito gata sandhya, I have again become fixed in my duty, freed from all the doubts. Karishye vachanam tava. Karishye vachanam tava. जो वचन आपके द्वारा बोले गए हैं, करिष्ये, I am willing to follow that. So, why Arjuna is willing to follow what Krishna said, or why Arjuna's doubts have been removed? Any thoughts? Why Arjuna's, how Arjuna's doubts are removed? So many people hear to Bhagavad Gita, so many people read Bhagavad Gita, not everyone's doubts are removed. How original doubts are removed? Yes, teenagers. Any quick
Was
thought?
he focused at the while Krishna was giving the Gita?
He was attentive and he
Yeah,
asked
yeah.
questions.
Good. Yeah, Krishna was not reading Bhagavad Gita. I mean, he was speaking. We are reading. So good answer. Because Arjuna heard attentively. So if we hear attentively, Nashtamoha Smritilabdha. All right. Purport. Okay, it's a big purport. Let's go by para-wise. I'll read out the first paragraph. The purport. The constitutional position of living entity represented by Arjuna is that he has to act according to the order of the Supreme Lord. He is meant for self-discipline. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the actual position of living entity is that of eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. Forgetting this principle, the living entity becomes conditioned by material nature, but in serving the Supreme Lord, he becomes a liberated servant of God. The living entity's constitutional position is to be servitor. He has to serve either the illusory Maya or the Lord. If he serves the Supreme Lord, he is in his normal condition, but if he prefers to serve the illusory external energy, then certainly he will be in bondage. In illusion, the living entity is serving in this material world. He is bound by his lust and desires, yet he thinks of himself as the master of the world. This is called illusion. When a person is liberated, his illusion is over, and he voluntarily surrenders unto the Supreme to act according to his desires. The last illusion, the last snare of Maya to trap the living entity is the proposition that he is God. The living entity thinks that he is no longer a conditioned soul but God. He is so unintelligent that he does not think that if he were God, then how could he be in doubt? That he does not consider. The foolish God. So that is the last snare of illusion. Actually, to become free from illusory energy is to surrender Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and agree to act according to his order. Mother Anjana, please read the next paragraph.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
The word moha is very important in this verse. Moha refers to that which is opposed to knowledge. Actually, real knowledge is the understanding that every living being is eternally a servitor of the Lord. But instead of thinking oneself in that position, the living entity thinks that he is not a servant, that he is the master of this material world, for he wants to lord it over the material nature. This is his illusion. This illusion can be overcome by the mercy of the Lord or by the mercy of a pure devotee. When that illusion is over, one agrees to act in Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna. The word moha, the illusion goes away by the mercy of the Lord or by the mercy of Guru. And when that happens, one agrees to act in Krishna consciousness. What is Krishna consciousness? Next paragraph, Mata Sangita.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Krishna consciousness is acting according to Krishna's order. A conditioned soul illusioned by the external energy of matter does not know that the Supreme Lord is the master who is full of knowledge and who is the proprietor of everything. Whatever he desires, he can bestow upon his devotees. He is the friend of everyone, and he is specially inclined to his devotee. He is the controller of his material nature and of all living entities. He is also controller of inexhaustible time, and he is full of opulences and all potencies. The Supreme Personality of Godhead can even give himself to the devotee. One who does not know him is under the spell of illusion. He does not become a devotee, but a servitor of Maya. Arjuna, however, after hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became free from all illusion. He could understand that Krishna was not only his friend, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he understood Krishna factually. So to study Bhagavad Gita is to understand Krishna factually. When a person is full of knowledge, he naturally surrenders to Krishna. When Arjuna understood that it was Krishna's plan to reduce the unnecessary increase of population, he agreed to fight according to Krishna's desire. He again took up his weapons, his arrows and bow to fight under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So at this point of time, Arjuna have stood up. He has lifted his bow, which is Gandiva bow, and now is ready to fight. And here kind of Bhagavad Gita concludes. So it all begins with Arjuna's doubt, should I fight or not? And Bhagavad Gita ends with Arjuna saying, Karishye vachanam tava. So I obey I serve and I find my greatest satisfaction in the service. This is what Arjuna is here right now, isn't it? So what's the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita? I obey. Karishye vachanam tava. I serve, and service is my benediction. That's what Bhagavad Gita ends with. All right. So now Sanjay has to conclude to Dhritarashtra. The conclusion happened between Krishna and Arjuna, but Sanjay has to conclude with Dhritarashtra. So there are last few verses where our Sanjay is going to conclude this whole conversation to Dhritarashtra. Let's take a look. Sanjay vacha iti ham vasudevasya pathasya cha mahatmana samvadam imam ashrosham adbhutam romaharshanam. Sanjay said, after hearing the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on and Roma Harshanam. Sanjay is in an ecstasy, purport. In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Dhritarashtra inquired from his secretary Sanjay, what happened on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? The entire study was related to the heart of Sanjay by the grace of his spiritual master Vyas. He thus explained the theme of the battlefield. The conversation was so wonderful because such an important conversation with two great souls had never taken place before and would not take place again. It was wonderful because the Supreme Personality of Godhead was speaking about himself and his energies to the living entity, Arjuna, a great devotee of the Lord. If we follow in the footsteps of Arjuna to understand Krishna, then our life will be happy and successful. Sanjay realized this, and as he began to understand it, he related the conversation to Dhritarashtra. Now it is concluded that wherever there is Krishna and Arjuna, there is victory. Now it is concluded means now Sanjay would draw his conclusion. Let's take a look at text number 75. Vyasa pradach Shrutavan etad guhyam aham param. Matlab Vyasdev ki kripa ke dwara I was able to hear this confidential knowledge. Aham param. Yogam yogeshwarat Krishna sakshakat yatha swayam. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard this most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism of Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. So there were two, you can say, there were two parallel Bhagavad Gita classes were going on. One Bhagavad Gita class was going on directly at the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And the speaker was Krishna. And the audience was only Arjun? At Kurukshetra. At Kurukshetra. Who was the audience? Arjun? Anyone else? Okay, Arjun. Okay, so Arjun was the audience. It was one-to-one conversation. Then there is a parallel conversation, there is a parallel recitation going on between Sanjay and Dhritarashtra. There were two students of Bhagavad Gita. One was Arjuna, second was Dhritarashtra. Now, when Krishna spoke this Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, Krishna asked Arjuna, so what's your opinion? And what did Dhritarashtra said? Or what did Arjuna said? Nashto moha smita labdha. So all my illusion has been destroyed. What do you expect? Is Sanjay going to ask, my dear student Dhritarashtra, now I conclude my Bhagavad Gita pravachan. What do you infer? What do you conclude? What do you conclude? What do you think Dhritarashtra would conclude? Stop the war? Okay.
He would say, save my house. Save my
So Dhritarashtra says, destiny is all powerful. In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, he said, well, समय आज मेरे पुत्रों का साथ नहीं दे रहा है. No, in the beginning he said, what can I do? Sanjay spoke, Vyasadeva spoke to Dhritarashtra, right? So Vyasadeva said, hey, stop the war. And Dhritarashtra said, oh, what can I do? It is the will of the providence. Everything has been decided. Destiny cannot be changed. And now Sanjay would ask, so Dhritarashtra, what do you conclude? I conclude that destiny can be changed. So this is what he understood out of whole Bhagavad Gita. That destiny can be changed. There is a hope for my sons. Although through the Bhagavad Gita, he understood my sons gonna die. In the 11th chapter, he got the, कहते हैं advanced trailer. Trailer movie से पहले आता है ना, तो उसको trailer मिला था, जहाँ उसके बच्चों का विध्वंस उसको दिखाया गया था. तो बोलते हैं कोई बात नहीं, हो सकता है भगवद गीता सुनने में ये पता चला है कि डेस्टिनी बदली जा सकती है। तो भाई डेस्टिनी किसी की बदली ना बदली हो, उसकी तो जरूर बदल गई थी। तो प्रश्न ये है, अर्जुन ने कहा नष्ट मोहा स्मृत लब्धा, बट धृतराष्ट्र को कुछ और ही समझ आया भगवद गीता से, क्यों? क्वेश्चन, ऑल द बॉयज, देन विल कम टू द यूथ। सो अर्जुना अंडरस्टूड वन मैसेज and our क्या नाम है Dhritarashtra understood one message, but the message that was spoken was same, yes or no? If the message was same, the why did audience got different understanding? Yes, Parth.
बिकॉज उनके भाव अलग अलग
उनके भाव अलग थे। यहाँ तो भी हम इमोशंस पे जा रहे हैं। क्या भाव थे भाई साहब?
नहीं, धृतराष्ट्र ने जब सुना तो उसने ये देख के सुना कि मेरे बच्चों के साथ क्या होगा, लेकिन अर्जुन ने ये देख के सुना कि अब मुझे युद्ध लड़ना है, नहीं युद्ध से बचना है।
ओके, वेरी गुड, ठीक है।
Exactly what I'm saying. They have different perspectives of viewing the lesson. Like Arjuna is.
But the whole Bhagavad Gita is about to change your perspective.
Yes,
You can come with any perspective. Your perspective is supposed to change.
About what will happen. He said what will happen to his sons, but Arjuna is knowing whether he should fight his brother.
Okay, what else? Good answers. Yes, Panchal.
Very different gurus.
Different gurus.
Like for example, Sanjay was dictating it to Dhritarashtra.
But yeah, Sanjay is also as good as Krishna. That is parampara. Because Sanjay is speaking in parampara, so there's no difference in the gurus then. So good point, but there's no difference. What else? What else? What else? Yes, Vishish.
Dhritarashtra was focusing mostly on his sons.
Dhritarashtra was focusing mostly on his son, and all of you are focusing your answers on Dhritarashtra's sons. सब यही जवाब दे रहे हो घूम फिर के। Okay, yes, Krishna. His false ego. Okay. Anything else? Okay, let's come to the seniors. Why Dhritarashtra and Arjuna had different understanding of Bhagavad Gita? Yes, Dhananjay?
Like Arjuna was surrendered to Krishna.
Arjuna was surrendered to Krishna.
He has accepted Krishna as a supreme personality.
He accepted Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead.
Prabhuji, Dhritarashtra was envious to Krishna.
Okay, so Nikhil Prabhu is speaking, Dhritarashtra was envious of Krishna. What else? What else? Anything else? Anything else? Yes, Prabhu. See, we are concluding now, no? So let's hear your conclusions about the conclusion. What happened? Yes?
Because Dhritarashtra was in Tamagun, Arjuna was in Sattvagun.
Oh, Dhritarashtra was in Tamagun and Arjuna was in Sattvagun. Very interesting. Very interesting analysis. Yes, Anil Prabhu. Oh, Krishna says my message can only be understood by devotees. Dhritarashtra was not a devotee. Okay, very nice. What else? Priyanshu, Arjuna had surrendered. Karpanya dosha pahata, but Dhritarashtra wasn't hearing with surrender. Okay, very nice. What else?
Arjuna was
Yes, Mother Priyanka, go ahead.
Arjuna was pure devotee and
Arjuna was pure devotee. Very nice. Yes.
Arjuna was able to let go of the moha towards his family, but Dhritarashtra was not able to let go of the moha.
So Arjuna let go of his moha. तो मतलब ये कुछ है हमारे हाथ में जो छोड़ सकते हैं. Let go of moha. Okay, very good. What else? What else? Yes, Teshu.
Demons saying Devdas. So Arjuna was his mentality of Devdas.
So divine versus demoniac. Arjuna was the divine nature. Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, don't worry, you're born of divine nature. But Dhritarashtra was a demonic nature. Very nice. What else? What else? What else? What do you all think? Not necessarily have to give a different answer. If it is one of the same answer, you can say envious towards Krishna. So what all of you have said is quite correct. The fundamental answer is why all other answers have come. You all are correct on that. Is the mood of the student towards the teacher and teacher's message. A very important principle in Vedic education. Your education is generally meant for transformation, not for memorization. And the transformation happens to a degree. We have a relationship with the teacher. To a degree, we have a relationship with the teacher. If we separate the message from the teacher, then it will not act. So what happened here? Dhritarashtra could relate to Sanjaya, but he could not relate to Krishna. He was not willing to accept Krishna's messages. So for Sanjaya, what he received a message was just like the Mayavadis or impersonalists or or speculators, when they hear the message of Bhagavad Gita. Let's talk about only the Sanskrit translation. Those who even know Sanskrit for that reason, when they hear it, they hear the message by separating it out from the speaker. Therefore, many times their conclusion comes as the speaker never existed. Krishna never existed, Arjuna never existed, this is a metaphorical conversation, etc., etc. But unless you accept the speaker, unless you have a relationship with the speaker, the message will not be transformative. So the Dhritarashtra relationship was limited to Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra could not relate to Krishna. So he could not really capture the message spoken by Krishna. So in spiritual education, it's extremely important. We have a major problem, the flaw. And what is that flaw? We do a lot of window shopping. We go and hear from this, hear from that, यहाँ से सुना, वहाँ से सुना, हम ऐसा बहुत करते हैं. आप सुन के क्या करोगे ना, आपको ज्ञान वर्धन हो जाएगा, और जो परिवर्तन आना चाहिए जीवन में, परिवर्तन कभी नहीं आता. और जब केवल ज्ञान वर्धन होता है, ज्ञान वर्धन के साथ साथ क्या वर्धन होता है, क्या बढ़ता है? जब ज्ञान बढ़ता है तो अहंकार, घमंड बढ़ता है, देखो मुझे कितना पता है. So rather than being transformed in the right direction, you get further contaminated. तो इसलिए जो ये अध्यात्म शिक्षा होती है, it should be taken under a proper guidance, and we should not get caught up with how entertaining or not entertaining the message, the delivery is. जैसे पहले ट्रेडिशनली गुरुकुल में जाके बच्चे पढ़ा करते थे, ऐसे नहीं कि गुरुकुल में जाके वो यूट्यूब पे दूसरे गुरुकुल के लाइव सेशन देखा करते थे. यस नो, आजकल ये होता है, टेम्पल में बैठ के दूसरे टेम्पल की लाइव भागवतम क्लास सुनी जाती है. People are so distracted. Now, if you have this, you will end up becoming like Dhritarashtra. You will not be able to relate with the speaker, Krishna. So if in case, this is for the grown-ups, not for the teens now, for in case, if you are connected to with a particular community, or you want to be part of the community, you should compulsory attend programs together and hear the message of the leader there. If you cannot, then you can never ever relate yourself to that community. Somebody is sitting in Pune hearing a Chopati lecture, when Pune everyday Bhagavatam class is going on. It's not right, not right. You go to Bombay then, be there. Or if in case somebody says, then, I mean, it's not that it's wrong, but what will happen, this person will not be able to relate with the leadership here. He'll not be able to relate with the devotees here. Then if you're not able to relate, how do you serve together? Can you serve together? Then what happens? Then you are taking a remote counseling. The remote counseling, the other party should be willing to give you remote counseling. Somebody is, let's say you have come from Bombay and shifted here, and you feel your heart is at Bombay, then it's okay. But if you think, no, in Bombay, or less in Mayapur and Vrindavan, there are so many senior devotees. At my local temple, they're all juniors, so I should hear from seniors only. Well, Prabhupada never created a system. Prabhupada created a system. Every temple should have its own Bhagavatam class. Otherwise, Prabhupada's class should be played 7 days a week. Now, who can be more senior than Prabhupada? Yes or no? Otherwise, Prabhupada's class should be played 7 days a week. But Prabhupada only said, यहाँ पे जो भक्त हैं उनको बोलो, and we should hear. Because that is how transformation happens, through relationship. If there is no relationship, so Dhritarashtra is a classic example. He could not relate to Krishna at all. Although he heard the message of Bhagavad Gita, which was repeated as it is, without any dilution, yet Dhritarashtra could not be transformed. So very important for this Machchitta Madgata Prana, largely has to happen within the like-minded devotees, within the common forum. Okay, so where were we? I kind of got an explanation. 70?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes, mother.
Prabhuji, when this parallel conversation was going on,
Correct.
so was Krishna was in favor of this? And if he knew about this, then why didn't he stop?
Sorry, I
he
missed
wanted
your
to
question. Who
continue
was
to
in
do?
favor of whom?
Krishna. When this parallel conversation was going on, like Krishna was giving to Arjuna and
Correct.
Sanjay was translating to Dhritarashtra.
Correct.
So was Krishna aware of this? And if he was aware, so was he in favor
Okay, let me
of
ask this
them.
question to you. What do you think? Krishna was aware or not? Where are you? I don't see you on the screen.
Of course, Krishna was aware.
Okay, so that your question is invalid. Okay. Now, why do you say Krishna was aware? Now, you answer yourself. Why do you say Krishna was aware that?
Krishna was aware, but he wanted, maybe
Now, first of
he
all,
wanted
you
to
answer
be in the
how
field
Krishna was aware.
because
Okay,
he's
but first
God.
of all, you answer me how Krishna was.
Because he's
Uh-huh.
Godhead, he knows everything what is going on.
Correct.
So
Thank God.
he was
At least we are on the common page. There's no question about, hey, Krishna Bhagwan hai nahi hai, Bhagavad Gita khatam ho gayi, ab Krishna to try Krishna is God or not. Because he's omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, he is the super soul residing in the heart of a living entity. So you kind of answered your question yourself. Now to the second part. Did he sanction? What was the second part?
second part was, if in case he was not in favor of that, then why didn't he stop?
Now, what do you think? Was he favor or not?
So he was in favor. That's why it continued.
Okay, interesting question answers. You answering your own questions. I don't know what I'm supposed to answer here. Okay, now you clarify. How do you know he was in favor? How do you know he was in favor?
He was in favor because Prabhuji, he didn't create any such kind of scenario where he could stop him by listening to all conversation.
That's it. Everything that happens happens according to the will of the Lord. If that happened, which means it was sanctioned. So thank you. We are reiterating, understanding the position and the job profile of the Supreme Lord, what he can or can't. There's nothing that he cannot do. Okay? All right, make sense?
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So good. Thank you for answering your own question. Which verse was he? I kind of lost it. Page flipped over. What verse were you talking about? 75 you were, right? We have read the purport? Okay, so that's a point here. Okay, let me do the translation. By the mercy of Vyasa, I've heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personal religions. We were asking about your conclusion. One person understood, the person did not understand. So so in other words, Vyasadeva gave that ability to Sanjaya. Vyasadeva is non-different. He is the literally incarnation of the Supreme Personality Godhead, which means Sanjaya was blessed by Lord Shri Krishna himself. So that's a point here. That's a point which is being explained here in this whole purport. All right, let's go to the next verse. 76. Rajan samsmritya samvadam nimamadbhutam keshavarjanayo punyam drishyami cha muhu muhu. O King, as I repeatedly recall this wonderful and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment. Purport. Father Priyanka, not sure if you read it, please go ahead and read out. The understanding, go ahead.
The understanding of Bhagavad Gita is so transcendental that anyone who becomes conversant with the topic of Arjuna and Krishna becomes righteous, and he cannot forget such talks. This is the transcendental position of spiritual life. In other words, one who hears the Gita from the right source directly from Krishna attains full Krishna consciousness. The result of Krishna consciousness is that one becomes increasingly enlightened and he enjoys life with a thrill, not only for some time, but at every moment.
So, I believe some of you might have heard this at several situations or different instances. I might have said this, that if anyone asks me what is life, I always say the word adventure. This is the reference. Let's take a look at the last few lines. In other words, one who hears the Bhagavad Gita from the right source, directly from Krishna, attains full Krishna consciousness. What is the result of Krishna consciousness? Is that one becomes increasingly enlightened and he enjoys life with a thrill. Devotees should experience adventure. Every day should be an adventure, full of surprise, full of experience. You can't say, oh, चल रहा है जीवन, वही 16 माला, वही भगवद गीता, वही हमारे प्रभु कृष्णा. No, it's thrill, filled with thrill. Not only for some time, but every moment. Text number 77. तच्च संस्मृत्या रूपमति अद्भुतं हरे विषमयो मे महाराजन् हश्यामि च पुनः पुनः. O King, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again. Purport, Mother Madhavani, go ahead.
Could see the universal form Krishna exhibited to Arjuna. It is of course said that Lord Krishna had never exhibited such a form before. It was exhibited to Arjuna only, yet some great devotees could also see the universal form of Krishna when it was shown to Arjuna, and Vyasa was one of them. He is one of the great devotees of the Lord, and he is considered to be a powerful incarnation of Krishna. Vyasa disclosed this to his disciple Sanjaya, who remembered that wonderful form of Krishna exhibited to Arjuna and enjoyed it repeatedly. Thank you, Prabhu. Dhanapranam.
All right, another very important shloka. Please repeat. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. अबे क्या कर रहे हो? सो रहे हो? जाग रहे हो? लोरी सुना रहे हो? समझ नहीं आया कुछ. जोर से बोलो. यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्ण. Krishno, not Krishna. Therefore, I am pay attention. Yatra Yogeshwaraha Krishna. Yatra Pato Dhanurdharaha. Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhute. Dhruvanite Mater Mama. Yatra Yogeshwaraha Krishna. Yatra Patha Dhanurdharaha. Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhute. Dhruvanite Mater Mama. Yatra Yogeshwaraha Krishna. Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha. Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhute. Dhruvanite Mater Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, Yatra Yogeshwaraha Krishna. And wherever Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, there is Arjuna, the supreme Dhanurdhara archer. What will happen? Yatra where? Tatra there. Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhute. There will also certainly be Shri, opulence. Vijay means victory. Bhute means extraordinary power. And Dhruva means morality. Dhruva Nite, Niti means morality. Dhruva means certainly. Dhruva Nite Matirma. This is my opinion. And that's how Bhagavad Gita ends. And how Bhagavad Gita ends? Where Sanjay now giving his conclusion. Wherever Krishna and Arjuna are there together, victory is inevitable. Establishment of dharma is inevitable, which means unavoidable. In other words, wherever we have a pure devotee of the Lord, everything will happen accordingly. Why? Because Krishna resides not in his Vaikuntha when he's speaking to Arjuna. He resides where? There is a constant chanting. In other words, in the heart of the devotee. So wherever there is a devotee, there is Krishna. And wherever there is a Krishna and devotee, there is only victory. Take an example of Srila Prabhupada. He went all alone. And what was his bow? What was his arrow? Srimad Bhagavatam, the holy names of the Lord. And also the ISKCON bullets. Gulab Jamun. How can you miss it? That was definitely the arrows that Prabhupada shot. And look what happened. One-man army. And Arjuna was also kind of one man. Of course, it was an actual fight, so he had a huge army. But see, Prabhupada, so wherever there is a devotee and the Lord together, Krishna consciousness has to expand. So what we need to do? We need to put all of you, when you grow up, get training, put you on a flight, and then throw you out with a parachute. Jao, giro. जहाँ पे भी गिरोगे वहाँ पे प्रचार करना शुरू कर दो. Quick, without planning and strategic planning and management, अपना पूरा विश्व भर में कृष्णा कॉन्शियस फैल जाएगा इस प्रकार से. I just hope you don't land in Pakistan somewhere, huh? We'll get into worry. I'm just joking. Purport. So this is the conclusion. Prabhupada is summarizing the whole thing. Please pay attention. Bhagavad Gita began with an inquiry of Dhritarashtra. He was hopeful of the victory of his sons, assisted by great warriors like Bhishma, Drona, and Karna. He was hopeful that the victory would be on his side, but after describing the scene on the battlefield, Sanjay told the king, "You're thinking of victory, but my opinion is that where Krishna and Arjuna are present, there will be all good fortune." He directly confirmed that Dhritarashtra could not expect victory for his side. Victory was certain for the side of Arjuna because Krishna was there. Krishna's acceptance of the post of charity for Arjuna was an exhibition of another opulence. Krishna is full of all opulences, and renunciation is one of them. There are many instances of such renunciation, for Krishna is also the master of renunciation. What are the opulences of Krishna? Anyone knows that shloka? Yes. Okay, Brajman, go ahead. We'll decide together. Aishwarasya samagrasya virayasya shashriya jnana vairagyayascha sannam bhagayatan gana. Haribol. So the fight was actually between Duryodhana and Yudhishthira. Arjuna was fighting on behalf of his elder brother, Yudhishthira. Because Krishna and Arjuna were on the side of Yudhishthira, Yudhishthira's victory was certain. The battle was to decide who would rule the world, and Sanjay predicted that the power would be transferred to Yudhishthira. It is also predicted here that Yudhishthira, after gaining victory in this battle, would flourish more and more because not only was he righteous and pious, but he was also a strict moralist. He never spoke a lie during his life. He never spoke a lie during his life. All right. There are many less intelligent persons who take Bhagavad Gita to be a discussion topic between two friends on a battlefield. But such a book cannot be scripture. Some may protest that Krishna incited Arjuna to fight, which is immoral, but the reality of the situation is clearly stated. Bhagavad Gita is a supreme instruction in morality. The supreme instruction in morality is stated in the 9th chapter and the 34th verse, Manmana Bhava Madhvakto. So what's the central verse of Bhagavad Gita? Manmana Bhava Madhvakto. What is that one verse? Not Savadharma Parityaj. That's the second verse. Manmana Bhava Madhvakto. That's the goal. Always remember Krishna. One must become a devotee to Krishna, and the essence of our religion is to surrender to Krishna. Then comes Sarvadharman Parityaja. The instructions of Bhagavad Gita constitute the supreme process of religion and of morality. All other processes may be purifying and may lead to this process, but the last instruction of the Gita is the last word in all morality and religion. Surrender unto Krishna, that is the verdict of the 18th chapter. From Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that to realize oneself by philosophical speculation, by meditation is one process, but to fully surrender unto Krishna is the highest perfection. This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. The path of regulatory principles according to the orders of social life and according to the different courses of religion may be a confidential path of knowledge. But all the rituals of religion are confidential. Meditation and cultivation of knowledge are still more confidential. And surrender unto Krishna in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness is the most confidential instruction. That is the essence of the 18th chapter. Another feature of Bhagavad Gita is that the actual truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. The absolute truth is realized in three features: Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagwan. Perfect knowledge of the absolute means perfect knowledge of Krishna. If one understands Krishna, then all the departments of knowledge are part and parcel of that understanding. Krishna is transcendental, for he is always situated in the eternal potency. The living entities are manifested of his energy and are divided into two classes: eternally conditioned and eternally liberated. Such living entities are innumerable, and they consider fundamental parts of Krishna. Mental energy is manifested in 24 divisions. The creation is affected by eternal time, and it is created and dissolved by external energy. This manifestation of the cosmic world repeatedly becomes visible and invisible. Bhagavad Gita has 5 principal subject matters: Ishvara, Prakriti, Jiva, Kal, and Karma. All is dependent on the Supreme Person Godhead, Krishna. Our conception of absolute truth, impersonal Brahman, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan, all that exists within the category of understanding the Supreme Person Godhead. Although superficially the Supreme Person Godhead, living entity, material nature, and time appears to be different. Nothing is different from the Supreme, but the Supreme is always different from everything. Lord Chaitanya's philosophy is that of inconceivable oneness, Achintya Bhed Abhed Tattva. The last paragraph. Let's all of us read together the last paragraph, all right, to bring to a dramatic conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. Everyone together. The living entity in his original position is pure spirit. He is just like an atomic particle of the Supreme Spirit. Thus, Lord Krishna may be compared to the sun, and living entities to the sunshine. Because the living entities are the marginal energy of Krishna, they have a tendency to be in contact either with the material energy or with the spiritual energy. In other words, the living entity is situated between the two energies of the Lord, and because he belongs to the superior energy of the Lord, he has a particle of independence. By proper use of that independence, he comes under the direct order of Krishna. Thus, he attains his normal condition in the pleasure-giving potency. Thus, and the Bhaktivedanta purpose to the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of its conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki. Hare Krishna. So thank you all, for all of you who have been joining online for all these morning discussions. So auspicious, we conclude on Ekadashi. We kind of, not conclude, we conclude to begin another journey. So from tomorrow morning, we'll start now next teachings of Lord Chaitanya. That will be our morning discussions at same time, 7:45 to 8:30. Have a wonderful Ekadashi. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada